I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin tonight, there is one adjournment on our agenda. It's application 23076. Property is located in Lindenhurst on West Santa Barbara Road. Is there anybody here on that application? Okay, it's being adjourned to July the 15th, 2013th? July the 13th, 2023. Need help. Okay, next application, the first application is application 23078 of Prahalama Ramnath. We're getting close. Come on up. Name and address for the record.
Prahalad Ramnath, 1359 West Road, North Babylon.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for the record, we have a planning memo dated June 8th, 2023, environmental control memo dated June 13th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by William Hogan dated December 13th, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map, and...
Chairman, there's 7 photographs.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Yeah, so I just purchased this house back in December. I was supposed to be handed over the permit for the deck and the pool. At the day for closing, they didn't have those pieces of documents, so I forced to take the deck on my and the pergola or the pergola on my cost to file the permit to rectify the problem. The previous owner was supposed to continue with the pool if we had any issues left with it.
I turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
So you sold the property? Is that
No,
what
I just purchased it back in December.
I'm saying
I
again?
bought a house in December.
You purchased it.
You purchased it?
Yes.
Okay. And so when, you don't know when the deck and pavers were done then, do you?
No, apparently 15 years, maybe a little before that.
The pool was permitted in 2006.
Yeah, that I don't have much information on those things now.
So after the closing, they were informed that you needed to be hit, you needed to straighten this out?
Yeah, so I forced to either walk away from the house, buy the house, or take up the deal. So I waited 6 months for the home, so I went through and purchased it.
And everything that we see on this, in these pictures and on this survey is the way you purchased it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're over by quite a bit. You're up to 77, over 77% of your backyard is covered.
Right.
Is there any way you can reduce any of that, cut it back at all?
The way it is, I don't think much could be done.
The stones, the pavers or something?
Yeah, I mean, we probably could take up some pavers and, if that's the case, but the deck...
You got a lot. And I don't see anything else in the neighborhood that's even anywhere near, so, he's 2.5 on the back and 2.5 on the other side. And it's nice, it's well kept, believe me, you did a great, whoever did it did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was well kept. Yeah.
Just that, in the future, if there's snow, if there's rain, if there's storms and the runoff and your neighbors start complaining that their backyard's getting flooded because yours is just, the water's just running right off of it.
Right.
That's our concern. Who is, oh, I see on the back. Can you see what you can do about getting some of this cut back?
Okay, like the pavers or...
Yeah, I don't expect you to do anything. I mean, the deck would be nice too, but it's
Yeah.
in nice shape.
So what happened at the closing? I mean, didn't this come up at the closing?
So, yes, the day for the closing, they were supposed to show me proof of the pool permits and the deck permit. It was all in the contract. Waited 6 months for the home. I went on the day for closing and they didn't have any permits. So it was a cut and dry deal to either take the deal the way it is or leave the home. I love the home. I waited 6 months for it. So I went on and, take it on my own to
So,
carry on.
were you
with the purchase.
represented by counsel?
Yeah,
have a
I
lawyer?
represent by attorney, yes.
Did they ask for anything to be held in escrow?
Yeah, they do have money in escrow, but only for the pool. The deck I end up taking on the old previous owner was supposed to take care of the pool.
Oh, you can't, Somebody pull the fast one. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down.
All right, I could take off after this. Hold on
Say
here.
it-
I could leave?
Yeah, unless you have nothing to do and you want to stay. Next application is application 23081 of TSCS Inc., property located in Deer Park. Name and address for the record, please.
Joseph Walker, Double Check Builders, 270 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, 11779.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated June 8th, 2023, environmental control memo dated June 13th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Peter Molzoff dated December 13th, 2021, tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, we have 17 photographs.
okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, my client and homeowner purchased the property from the Suffolk County Clerk. He was doing work on the property and required a permit afterwards, so we're trying to get a permit afterwards. That's how it came about. The cellar entrance has existed since 1969, according to Liz White. It enjoys a 93% compliance, and it has not caused any problems since 1969 as far as detriment to the neighborhood, reduced property values. It's pretty consistent with what's in the neighborhood. The degree of relaxation is minimal. And I have read the stipulation as far as one of the conditions of being approved, the cellar entrance would remain a Bilko style. And we're consistent, have no difficulty with that. So all of that having been said, we hope the board would look upon the application favorably.
Thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Kretschmer.
Okay, so you agree to keep the cellar entrance with a Bilko style door only? which you-
Correct, yes.
And this is for resale?
Correct. There was a violation. The violation was removed. You could check with Liz White on that. The goal right now is to obtain a building permit for work that was done, ultimately obtain a CO, and then put the house on the market and sell the house. If you looked at the inside was done, remodeled, and it was 100% improvement since the house was last worked on. The thing was CO'd in 1946. I think it was last worked on in 1969.
And the basement is finished?
The basement is finished.
Okay, so there's no indication of habitable space, or we're going to make bedrooms or bathrooms down there?
Negative, no, no. In fact, the building inspector has been there. The finished basement is reflected on the plans. It was first determined by the building department that we might need a state variance, and then Liz White determined that no state variance was required. So if this board approves the application, our intention is to get a building permit and then get subsequent building inspections, plumbing inspections, and electrical inspections.
Okay.
There is a bathroom in the basement, yes.
No further questions, Mr. Chairman?
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Approve it with the condition that Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 23-081 with the condition on the CO that the basement and or cellar entrance will remain Bilko-style doors only.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Next application is application 23080 of Sylvia Blair, property located in Lindenhurst. Name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sasha Blair. Address is 11 Farragut Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757.
For the do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
And so who's Sylvia Blair? Is that?
That's my sister. We're co-owners. She's out of town, so she's the one who's really handling all of this, so I'm speaking on the behalf of both of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice
Try
to
to do
go
the
out of
best I
town.
can.
Thanks. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated June 8th, 2023. A assessment record dated, where is it dated? January, no. 1992 was a certificate of occupancy obtained then.
Yeah, you got the date on the bottom, January 10th,
Yeah.
2022.
Oh, so this is the accuracy of the assessment was January 10th, 2022. And there's also a approval from this board dated, well, it's the application is 9123, which means it was in 1991. And that was for numerous things, but there was a restriction for a pool and a shed if they were to come down, that they be placed in a legal location. Environmental control memo dated June 13, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Suffolk County Planning memo dated June 5, 2023. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. A survey by PJM Land Surveying dated August 24, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. And
Chairman, there's 14 photographs and a site plan by Harold E. Gebhardt dated January 19th, 2023.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Yeah, me and my sister, we purchased the home last year, October, by Janine Sillick, and like the same situation like the first applicant here. She tried her best, I guess, to get the apartment, because we're trying to legalize the apartment. So that's why we're applying for the deck. She supposedly, she tried to do everything, but was cut short because she said she's no longer living in the home. So we have to be the ones responsible to take over to legalize the apartment. She paid for the violation, the previous owner. So now we're just taking charge, since we are now the current owners, to get this apartment legalized. But they told us that in order to get it legalized, that we need to have apply for the deck permit, because there is no deck permit on file. So that is what we are doing.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
Were there ever any changes to the deck?
No, we purchased as is. So I don't know when the deck was built.
Okay,
I
but
don't-
you guys didn't make no changes to any of the decking, everything's the same?
The floor plan, whatever's on the floor plan.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend the application and delete variance number 1.
All in favor?
The shed, is the shed existing in the same location?
Yes, we didn't move it.
Okay. Would you agree that if the shed was ever in disrepair, that you would put it in a conforming location?
Like, what do you mean by that?
If
I'm
the
sorry.
shed was ever damaged?
Damaged, or like
everything
to
should ever-
replace it? Yeah, if
Yes.
it was damaged, I guess we would have to replace it.
But
right?
put it in a conforming location?
Put it in another location?
Yes, it's a
Well,
little
Is
close
it
to the property line.
movable? Like, oh.
Like about a half a foot.
Guess we would have to move it.
Yeah, you're too
I'm
close to
not
the
a
property line,
construction worker, I
so
don't know.
if
So
the
if
shed
it's
was never
possible,
damaged.
yes. That's the answer.
That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Just for the board's reference, the previous approval showed a smaller shed
Yeah, this one's a little bigger.
location. I don't know when the shed was replaced, but this is a bigger shed than
Slightly
your
bigger.
the board's last review.
that the shed wasn't,
was there
everything's
when
the
you
same when you
purchased it.
bought it?
I'm sorry?
The shed is the same, it was there when you purchased
Yeah,
the
when we
house?
purchased the
Mr. Chairman, I got no further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
And you're living there, you and your sister are living?
So, yeah, my sister's living there, and I'm trying to get the accessory apartment legalized, so I cannot live there. I'm not living there right
So
now.
you're gonna be living in
Well, I want to live there, yeah. I'm trying to get this apartment.
in the accessory apartment?
Yeah, the accessory
Oh, okay.
apartment, that's what we're trying
Very
to do.
good. Thank you.
Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 23-080 with the condition that if the shed was ever in disrepair, it'd be replaced at a conforming location,
All right,
as amended.
thank you, appreciate it.
All in favor?
Follow
Aye.
the accessory apartment division.
Okay,
Continue your inspection.
all right, thank you.
All right, good luck.
Yeah.
Next application is application 23072 of Chris Giovan, property located in West Babylon. Is there anybody here on this application?
Yes.
No, besides you guys. I just, and the only reason I ask is because I would have you turn that around, but there is
Oh,
nobody
okay.
else. That's fine. Hey, name and address for the record, please.
John Bracco, architect, 111 Railroad Avenue, Sayville, New York.
Hey, do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated June 9th, 2023. Environmental control memo dated June 14th, 2023. You should have a copy of this. There is a number of items on here.
Yes, I do.
Suffolk County Planning memo dated June 5th, 2023. If a decision of local determination, take no position for or against. A survey by Jason Lenningham dated June 27, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. And
Chairman, 4 photographs and a site plan by John Bracco dated April 13, 2023.
okay, would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, members of the board. John Bracco, architect, on behalf of the property owner Chris Giovan, who's here with us today. In regards to the requested variances, we're proposing a two-story home. The original intent for this project was to do, as many other people have done in the neighborhood, lift the existing house and build a second-floor addition above. However, after analyzing the existing framing members of the original home, it was determined by both myself and the contractor that it would not be feasible to lift the home due to rot and mold damage and insufficient size and spacing of the framing members. So the project was forced to switch gears to the demo of the original home and a proposal for a new home. The proposal is for a modest 1,900 square foot, two-story home, which would fit seamlessly into this neighborhood. As you can see there, I took some pictures of some very similar houses in the neighborhood, all on 40-foot wide lots, as the subject parcel is. The floor elevation of the home would be set at the minimum required height by FEMA. There is no desire to raise it to a height where it would be deemed a three-story house, as some other houses are in the neighborhood. We did extensive research of the neighborhood and obtained several other grants by this board in the neighborhood, all with grants very similar to the variances we are seeking with this application. In regards to the width at the front of the property line of 40 feet and the lot area of 3,440 square feet, the existing parcel is consistent with several other parcels on Pershing Avenue and the surrounding neighborhood. In regards to the front yard setback, the proposed home's covered porch would begin at the same distance of 24 feet to the front property line as the previous house and is consistent with several other houses on the street and even further back in some cases. In regards to the side yard setbacks, the proposed west side setback of 5 feet is farther from the west property line than the previous home, which was 4.6 feet from the property line. The proposed east side setback of 11 feet is only slightly closer to the east property line than the previous house, which was 11.9 feet from the east property line. Again, these setbacks are consistent with several other houses in the neighborhood with 40-foot wide lots. In regards to the rear yard setback, there are other houses as close, if not closer, to the rear property line, including the house next door to the east. And there is a similar grant at 37 Mitchell Avenue for 6.8 feet from the rear property line. Lastly, in regards to the building area, there, again, are several other grants in the area for similar building areas, notably a grant on Mitchell Avenue of a new home of 42.4%. I have all these grants, which I'd be more than happy to submit if the board would like. And in summation, we have letters from the neighbors next door and 2 doors down in full support of the application, and we believe this proposal is well within the nature and character of the neighborhood. And if the board has any questions, be more than happy to try to answer them.
Turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
All right, so Chris is the current owner, and he will remain in the home?
That is
the new
correct,
home?
yes.
Okay, so we don't have any plans for an accessory apartment?
Absolutely not.
Okay, did you read the planning division memo
I did.
regarding the covenants and restrictions?
I did.
So we typically impose a no second-story deck. You guys are proposing a second-story deck.
Right.
So
Yeah.
are you guys interested in not constructing that?
I mean, you know, their desire was to do it. I know with the original application, we did show it as covered and screened in. You know, they did say they'd be willing, you know, if the board wasn't crazy about that idea, to just have it as a deck and not have it covered or screened in. But they would like to do it if they can. Of course, there's, you know, some really nice views from up there. And there are, you know I noticed in the neighborhood there are a lot of other houses that do have 2-story decks on the back of the house. So we'd like to at least keep it as a completely open deck if we could.
Okay, the other properties that you're speaking of, do you know if they're permitted or?
Not with 100% certainty,
Okay.
no, yeah.
Okay. Did you read the environmental memo
I did, yeah.
as far as the New York State DEC Tidal Wetlands Permit? You guys may want to look into that and
Yes,
the other
absolutely.
recommendations? Okay. It is a rather large structure that you're proposing for this property size. Is there anything that you can cut back on or willing to come back on?
I mean, you know, it's the house is 1,900 square feet. It's really, it's 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It's really not a large house. I mean, I don't like to bring applications before the board that aren't in keeping with the neighborhood, but like I said, and as you can see, like from the pictures, there are other houses on the same size lots that are bigger than this house square footage-wise, that are 3 stories as opposed to our 2 stories. So, you know, we thought this was a good fit for the street and the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. And you're aware that if there are any other structures that you guys are ever interested in, you would have to return back for request of more relief?
Yes, we do understand that.
You do understand that?
Yep.
But you don't intend on putting like any sheds or anything on the
No, not
property?
at this point, and if that changed, we would come back.
Yeah. Okay. I have no further questions.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
Is there a reason the house can't be centered?
Centered? I mean, I guess it is possible. I know they did want to try to keep there actually was, the existing driveway was on the east side of the house there. You know, we're only 24 feet wide. It's funny, there's a lot of houses on those 40-foot wide lots that they have like 5 foot on each side. So we had the 5 foot on one side and thought, you know, okay, well, we're not as big as some of those others, so we have the 11 on the other. I mean, I guess it's something that could be entertained. I know one of the other issues was they were trying to do a little retaining wall in the front, just like 18 inches, just so it didn't look so far out of the ground. And, you know, again, they would keep the driveway obviously down low at the grade level, So that was another reason, it was another potential reason that that retaining wall would sort of line up with that east property line.
Let me ask you this, you mentioned a lot of houses that are the same and so on and so forth. Do you know if any of those were with permission from this board?
I do, yeah, I have several, I actually have, I think it's eight different grants for either demo and brand-new houses or lifts, all.
And they all have zoning variances that are approved by this board?
Yeah, I have grants, I could submit them if you like.
Grants?
What's that? ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals grants, where the board grant, the
Okay, if
town
you
of
have
Babylon.
them,
Yes, I do.
think
I
you
could
should
submit them.
them.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we are going to close the hearing, reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night, thank you.
You too, thank you.
Okay, just for the record, on the last application, there are 7 zoning board approvals within the area, and some of them are right on Pershing, too. So.
Okay.
Next application is application 23070 of Norma Lobo, property located in Wyandanch. You're on.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Darrell J. Conway, 57 West Main Street, Babylon, New York, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Norma Lobo.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated June 12, 2023, environmental control memo dated June 14, 2023. There's a number of items on here which I'm sure you have a copy of.
I do not.
You not? Yeah, you can check mine. Over there. Kind of standard stuff. Survey by Greg Lahat dated January 30th, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, we have 2 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Norma Lobo, who lives at 803 Belmore Avenue in East Meadow, New York. The subject site is 32 Grand Boulevard in Wyandanch, Suffolk County Tax Map Designation 100, Section 57, Block 2, Lot 40. It is Zone Residence C. The requested relief, as we speak, are 3 items. Diminish front yard property line from 60 feet to 40 feet. Diminish total side yard from 16 feet to 12 feet. And diminish west side yard from 6 feet to 4.5 feet for the ingress window well for fire safety, together with a roof overhang. At this time, we want to amend that application, eliminate variance number 2 with the total side yard of 16 to 12 feet. We will comply with the 16 feet as required by the code. So we will submit a redesigned footprint, we will take 1 foot off one side of the house and eliminate the encroachment of the 3-foot encroachment of the stoop that's on the side that causes it to drop down to 12 feet. So number 2 is out. That variance is out. Number 3 is out at the suggestion of the planning board or planning department memo. Good suggestion. That egress window that's on the side, no reason why it needs to be on the side. It's a safety window. We are going to put it on the rear of the structure. So number 3 is also eliminated, withdrawn, and that will take care of variances 2 and 3. So the only requested variance is number 1, and it would remain as that. So I'd ask for a motion.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to do. I'll make a motion on application 23070 to eliminate variance number 2 and number 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site itself is a 175-foot long by 40-foot vacant lot, equaling 7,000 square feet. The proposal is to construct a 1-story inline single-family residence. The lot has been single and separate since 1954, so it has the relief of certain zoning requirements. The structure itself, which I believe you have plans, will be a 3-bedroom single-family or 3-bedroom single-story residence. It will have 1 full bathroom with a shower and tub and 1 half bathroom. It also has a kitchen and has a dining and living room area in front. The bathroom itself, also in the memo, it was questioned. The basement itself, the basement will be a strictly unfinished cement walls for the foundation. It will have no access from the outside other than the emergency egress window. There will not be any type of access from a Bilco door or any other type of cellar entrance. And it will be kept.
Just for the basement while we're on it, there's no test bores for the basement, so in the environmental control memo, they can't comment without test bores as to whether there would be, be able to have a basement.
Sure, and that's very relevant. We know in Wyandanch, sometimes it could be a 30-foot water table, or it could be a 5-foot water table. We will present those test bores to the environmental and satisfy that. One of the other important things is under the new sewer program under the county, this building or this residence will be hooked up to the Suffolk County Sewer District. We believe that the relief requested is minimal. The only item that we're requesting is a relief from the street frontage from 60 to 40. It meets the town code requirements in lot size, which is 6,000. It is 7,000. Front yard setback meets the requirement of 30 feet. The rear yard setback requirement is 30 feet. It is 90 feet, 95 feet. The maximum building area is 30%. We are at 18%, and as indicated, we are meeting the total side yard and single yard or side yard setbacks. So just to note, I have filed a FOIL with the town clerk, and a couple of weeks ago was hoping to get the documentation, but we have information to show that there in fact was a house on this property built back in the 60s. It burned down in the 80s. I have not received a response from the building department to document that. If we want to keep the record open for a couple of weeks to get that documentation, that's certainly agreeable to me, but it is relevant for this application, that in fact there was a house on there previously.
That's not a problem, we will.
Okay. Now, as to the conformance of the community, if you take a look, okay, no, come back out. Yes. If you take a look at the subject lot directly across the street, you'll find that there are many lots that are smaller far smaller than the lots that in question. Lot 21 is far less than 7,000 square feet. There is a question about Lot 24. That has the same type of width as the subject lot, but that is vacant. And I noticed that in the memo it talks about precedent. But you're going to find that, in fact, this area has already been developed with precedent as to lot size. Take a reverse on the south side of the subject lot. You'll find lots 42, which is not only, that's abutting Elm Street. Lot 42 is not only the same width, it is far smaller than the subject lot. Lot 43 is the same width, again, far smaller on the area. So there's a lot of precedent that's in existence, and we do not believe that the construction of a brand-new home here would change anything. Lot 44 is also much smaller than the 7,000 square foot lot area that we have. So I believe the precedent issue raised in the memo is not relevant or not supported by the facts, and it certainly will not be the smallest lot within the 200-foot radius that we always use. As I indicated, I've looked at the memo. We've changed the variances, and more importantly, as one member had brought up on another application, I've looked at all the CNRs and all the conditions, and we agreed to all of them. Not a change of any words in the CNRs or the conditions. So now, one of the other things that is very important in this application is, and I'm surprised it wasn't brought up in the memo that was signed by the commissioner, is one of the thing that is going to make this different than any other lot requiring a variance is we are conditioning this approval. God forbid, or not God forbid, hopefully the board sees a way to approve it, but we are conditioning this upon us, the first time in the town of Babylon, entering into an agreement with the Long Island Housing Partnership, in which they will take over the sale and promoting it, so that the purpose is to construct and sell workforce housing. I'm sure you are all readers of Newsday, and this is a very relevant issue that came out this morning, talking about the burden of housing costs on Long Island. And what we want to do, what this owner is willing to do, is address this. And hopefully in town of Babylon, this will be something that we will follow through on. There's a letter that was sent to Commissioner Selfold, and also I believe Supervisor Schaefer, which lays out the specifics on how it works. And I certainly understand it's new, so I don't want to raise any concerns from anybody. What this does is it requires the owner to market this at a purchase price that will be coordinated with the Town of Babylon Planning Department, that will establish affordable sales price and a maximum income level of the purchaser. The maximum income level will be at or below an acceptable median income. The purchase price will be capped between $365 and $380, which is substantially lower than what's going out there for new homes in Wyandanch. I understand this, as the memo mentions, 40-footers are not the norm, but this is also not the norm. Our application is very unique. We're offering workforce housing. We're not calling it workforce housing and then putting it up for sale for $500,000. We are going to enter in, if this board approves it, we are conditioning. One of the conditions, the covenants and restrictions, is that the owner must enter into an agreement with Long Island Housing Partnership, which he already has signed, that they will determine the purchase price and they will determine how it's sold, so that the workforce can become homeowners. It is clear that we are having problems That is a very major issue on Long Island. We're willing to become the first entity that has done that in the town of Babylon. It is, I understand $350,000 may not seem any, it may be in the abstract, but realize this, to build that home alone is going to cost between $225,000 to $275,000. And then you have to put the appliances in, and then you have to hook up the utilities. He's taking a severe haircut on this so that we can provide for workforce housing here in the town of Babylon. So I think it's something that should be supported by the town, and it eliminates anything about worrying about development of smaller or similar sized lots, because I don't think anybody else would agree to this workforce housing, the Long Island Housing Partnership condition. And that's what they're willing to do, and we hope that covenant restriction tips the scales in the favor of the applicant, so that this board and the town can look forward and present to. This is only one home, but there are other lots out there that maybe there'll be credible parcels, so that we do have more workforce housing in our town. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
So you agree to all the covenants, restrictions, conditions, and everything there that's on the planning memo, right?
Everything.
Okay. I have no other questions. Any questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? And is your name and address for the record, please?
Yep, Ernest Capers, 36 Grand Boulevard, Wyandanch, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
Excuse me, the lot that they're talking about is right next to my home, and it's in the middle of my home and my neighbor's. He's on the other side. It's extremely small. I mean, I don't know what obviously I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what the exact codes are as far as the sizes, excuse me, of lots and that kind of thing. But I mean, my property line and his property line, we can, I mean, it's right there. There's no space. I don't understand how they can even consider, whatever, to put a house there. Years ago, when we purchased our property, we offered to buy that property from the owner, and he wanted extremely too much. So, we couldn't afford it, so we said no. And now, we turn around and I see the people out there, taking pictures and all that, and I'm asking them about who I need to talk to get the trees sprayed for the bugs, and he tells me, oh, well, they're trying to build a property there. And then I go in my mailbox and I find a letter about this hearing. And it's just so small. I don't understand how, how they can even consider, I mean, a house would be, my house ends and my property line is, I would say, 10 feet, 6 feet, maybe 8 feet or whatever. It's not a whole lot of space. So, I mean, aside from, the danger, the fire, anything like that were to happen, I mean, what's going to prevent that from coming right onto my property and to my house? And to have someone that close, the noise, I mean, to me, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Charles Ankrum, 28 Grand Boulevard, Wyandanch.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
Some time ago, the builder came to me and asked me to sell him a part of my property so that he could build on it. I declined. He told me that the way it is zoned, it was not large enough. I don't remember the exact dimensions that were there, but there was not enough property for him to build. He wanted me to sell him. Now, I'm a retired pastor, and at one time, I wanted to build on my property a church. Ill health and other things required that I move away from that. But I'm wondering now how, if it was not allowed because of the space, that you can rezone it, or whatever the wording is for it, so that it can allow the builders to make money and create a dangerous situation for houses on either side. There cannot be a driveway on there for parking. It creates some problems. I don't want to bring up any other issues, but on Grand Boulevard, people park during the day instead of going across the tracks and rent parking spaces. And during the day, that means that the street cleaners cannot clean there. It creates a number of issues that I'm not comfortable with, and I don't think it's right to adjust whatever the coding was to accommodate the builders and create a danger for the houses next to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Would
sir.
anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond to the Reverend's comments about parking. We would endorse any type of parking restrictions that the town might want to put on Grand. It is certainly, as you can see from the map of the overhead, I could understand possibly somebody coming in, instead of going to the parking garages on the north side of the tracks, parking on Grand and then walking. We'll certainly endorse any type of restrictions, parking restrictions, 2 hours, 4 hours along Grand Boulevard to allay those fears. Just to note as to, and I understand the concerns of the neighbors about the size, but if you take a look immediately to the south of the subject lots, all of those lots along Elm are far, far smaller than the lots that we're talking about. So, and again, I can't emphasize enough the opportunity to provide for workforce housing in this situation with a minimum literally one variance, and that is not a lot area variance. The lot is conforming in the lot area. It's merely the width. There could be, if you take a look at the overhead, and I'm surprised that this overhead is not more specific, but if you take a look at your radius maps that you have in front of you, we certainly could adjust the location of the home to either drop it back so that we're not as close to the street frontage as the pastor's home is, and possibly, and then it's a very thin and house that probably would come back halfway to the other neighbor's home. So we wouldn't be encroaching on their use of their residence. We're open to any effort to resolve that issue.
Okay, thank you. We're going to close the hearing, reserve decision. I'm going to keep the record open for your FOIL request.
Thank you.
Test borings, and also new plans showing the side yards.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
down. We'll take that into consideration. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, thank you. Okay, that concludes our live streaming on YouTube. We will continue the rest